Soft UK for inviting me here today, and particularly Sonia who helped me understand what I need to do here today. But thanks to all the people that have shared their stories so far today. I'm going to show you a zoomed out picture of living with rare and genetic conditions and what we do. And so it's tremendously valuable for me to be able to join you and see the zoomed in picture that individuals are living with. I'm going to go into what we do, but we're Genetic Balance UK, we're a charity, and we have more than 200 patient organisation members. Soft UK is one of them. We run the Rare Disease UK campaign, and we also run a support network for families with children with undiagnosed genetic conditions. And that's called SWAN UK, which stands for Syndromes Without a Name. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants in our organisation. All of our members and all of the people living in the UK with rare and genetic conditions give us the information that we need to do our role, and thank you to all of you for that. I'm going to go through who we represent, what we do, and how you can get involved. And I'll try and be relatively brief so we can catch up a bit of time, and also if you've got questions, because our role is really broad, and so there might be something that you want to narrow in on and talk about in more detail. So I'll start with who we represent. And my job title is Director of Policy, so I have to have at least one graph in any presentation I give. Most of the rest of the presentation is pictures. So I've got a Venn diagram here of rare conditions and then genetic conditions, and almost every genetic condition is rare, and that means it's affecting fewer than 1 in 2,000 people in the UK. The familial hypercholesterolemia is a common genetic condition. There aren't very many of those at all. It depends on how you count them, but people tend to arrive at a figure of more than 6,000 rare conditions affecting people living in the UK. And trisomy 13 and trisomy 18 are both two of those conditions. We're still looking at trying to understand the picture. There's a wonderful website called author.net that's describing a project to try and understand more about rare conditions and bring an overarching picture. Some of the stats they've found is that around 70% affect children, and around 72% of the rare conditions we understand at the moment have a genetic cause. We also think that number is going to go up as we do more and more studies on rare conditions. And our job is to work for everyone in that Venn diagram, whether it's just genetic or just rare, or both, like most people. So that's the statty way of looking at it. And the further bit of information that Orphanet have done is to work out actually how many people that is. And it's quite a big number. We think it might be 3.5 million people in the UK are affected by a rare condition in some way. So that's more people than are living with Alzheimer's disease. That's about 1 million people. It's more people that are diagnosed with cancer in only 1 year. And in a way, the challenge we have is that we've got rare at the beginning of our name. So why would you think that there'd be so many rare conditions? But taken together, we think there might be about 3.5 million people, or 1 in 17 people. Another way to look at our population is that it's just lots and lots of people with stories like we've heard today. On our website, we have all of these stories. These are stories from Rare Disease Day 2021. And I think you'll find things that are familiar in these stories. You'll also find things that are really very different experiences of rare conditions. And of course, we represent the organisations that are our members. And SOFT's up here. This is just between O and U in our alphabet. Jane's organisation, Antenatal Results and Choices, are also members of ours. And our job is to bring together the experience of all of these organisations and try to find the themes that we have in common for the experience of living with rare genetic conditions. And one way that we try to describe that is to say, well, sometimes the problem of having a rare condition is because it's rare, but sometimes the solution is around genetics with the diagnostic tools that we're developing in the UK. So what do we do? The answer here is quite a lot of things, and I'm not going to try and talk through all of them. We've got a research team who specialise in trying to understand and demonstrate and describe the experience of people living with rare conditions with interview techniques and survey techniques and so on. My team's the Policy and Public Affairs team, and our job is to take that information and then try to make an argument to government, try to improve the experience of our community. And then we have our comms team and so on, who aim to try to raise awareness of people living with rare genetic conditions. So that's what we do at the moment, but it might change because we have a new CEO. Louise joined us in the summer, and she's currently trying to understand the needs of our community. So the team at Soft UK will have received a link to fill in a survey to tell us what you think we should be doing, and please do tell us because we want to be delivering what you need. Louise is really experienced. She's worked at NICE in the NHS Confederation, and she comes from one of our member organisations, so she used to run the Tuberous Sclerosis Association. So with that strategy on its way, what we've been doing lately is trying to get some messages out here. And we launched the Good Diagnosis report in February this year. I've been really struck actually by the stories that I've heard today and how they match with some of the findings that we had with Good Diagnosis. So this is not just an accurate and timely diagnosis, which I think we can all agree the sooner you know accurately a diagnosis, the better. But it's that experience of the diagnosis being a good experience. We've heard some less than good experiences today. And these are the components that we found that define a good experience from the work we did with families that have been through the diagnostic journey. At the top there, we've got accurate and timely, but then, and I think this is what I've heard most today, is the need for that diagnosis to be delivered in an informed way and with support. So ideally, if you're hearing about a trisomy 13 or 18 diagnosis, the word Soft UK should be quite soon out of the mouth of the doctor, and the information should be there. And you don't need me to tell you why that's a good thing. But the other thing you need is for the diagnosis you're getting to be acknowledged and respected by everyone that's going to interact with you and your family for the rest of your journey through healthcare. That it's not just an NHS thing, that when you move into society, local government, schools, they all take seriously the diagnosis. And then the NHS needs to really work to coordinate and collaborate so that all of the different people that might be involved in the healthcare are aware of what the diagnosis is and are working to make sure that the experience within the NHS is one that isn't too complicated, and there's a journey there, a care pathway. All of the different healthcare professionals that might be involved in looking after children with the condition are all linking together and sharing information so that our community doesn't have to collate, scan data and take them around. So we published that report at the beginning of the year, and one of the things we do is to listen to our community, produce these resources which describe the experiences, and then take their learning and recommendations and try to take them forward. So we took that to parliamentarians earlier this year. Another thing we do is try to make sure that people like Sergeant David, who briefly this year was our health secretary, who was a very good one actually and really did engage with rare conditions, and I hope at some point he might return to the office. So we arranged for people living with rare conditions to meet Sergeant David in Great Ormond Street Hospital and to take that message there, and messages from reports like Good Diagnosis were there. We did a big piece of research on care coordination, All of this stuff's on our website. And this is to really understand all of the value of care coordination. And I'm just trying to give you examples here so that you can see that, and this is one of the things that is a shared experience of people living with rare conditions, that challenge of going to lots of different doctors for lots of different aspects of care. We're trying to bring that together. We did a report a couple of years ago that's really still quite important and influential about the challenges of living with a rare condition and the effect on mental health. We found that very few clinicians ask people about their mental health, even though it's well understood that all of the elements that make living with a rare condition challenging impact upon mental health. We find that there are very few opportunities for people to receive mental health care on the NHS because of a rare condition. And we're feeding that into a current mental health review that the government's doing. So how can you get involved? Having put these slides together, I think my main conclusion here is work really closely with Soft UK. I've been through Soft UK's social media accounts and I think they're amazing. And I think they will be the Soft UK community and all of the volunteers and employees of Soft UK are your conduit to what we do. And through Soft UK, I think we'll be making a couple of big opportunities for you to get involved. And I've put some here together. First of all is Rare Disease Day. Does anyone know when Rare Disease Day is? It's the rarest day of the year. It's 29th of February. So we normally celebrate it on the 28th of February, and I know that's just before Trisomy Awareness Month. So you'll all be getting ready for that. But just before that, there is Rare Disease Day, and this is an international awareness campaign run by Eurordis, the European Rare Disease Patient Organisation, and we run it in the UK. We use it as an opportunity to talk to parliamentarians. So we have a big event in all of the parliaments of the UK, but also it's an awareness raising event. So this year, for the first time in the UK, we started lighting up buildings on Rare Disease Day. So Gateshead Bridge in Newcastle, so this is Nottingham Town Hall in the middle, and this idiot is standing outside the Department of Health and Social Care, which only managed to do blue, but at least that's one colour, so that's good. And this is Glasgow Children's Hospital here. So this year we want to do more buildings and get more important buildings around the UK lit up. We also managed to do a collaboration with ITN, a TV show about rare diseases that's online, shining a light on rare conditions, and you can go and find that on our website or on Twitter if you look at the hashtag Rare Disease Day. And that was an opportunity for lots of different stories to get put together in one hour-long show, and we're going to do that again this year. And really, it's a big opportunity for us to share each other's messages and amplify each other. So this is on the right, us sharing Soft UK's message, and on the left, this is one of Soft UK's messages from the Rare Disease Day campaign this year. And we found that our members' social media interactions went up by 3 times at the end of February this year because of this shared interaction. And if we all get on there and use the hashtag, then it will go up further. And you can tell I'm not a content professional, really a bit hazy here. But this is, I think, when you see Soft UK amplifying the Rare Disease Day message, that's about your experiences as well. And there are 3.5 million people in the same position. Another thing we can do together is interact with politicians. So we're about to get a new Prime Minister. Some people think there might be an election quite soon. Some people think that would be a bad idea for her. But if there is one, we will react quickly with a Rally for Rare campaign. And what we do is we get fresh potential parliamentarians who are about to hopefully become an MP to make promises to us. They're not yet MPs, so they are more likely to promise to do stuff. And this is what we did last time. And these are quite broad promises, but we can follow through with much more detailed activity later on. And we ask our members to communicate to all of you, to write to candidates and say, can I meet you, can I tell you about my story? And I think today is one of the best examples I've ever seen of, would you rather hear it from me or from one of the people that spoke here today, with that really personal story that can really make a politician commit to doing something. So we'll have the hashtag ready for Red, and there'll be interactions with social media, and all of these graphics will be around. We do it for the devolved nation elections as well. So the most recent one we did in Northern Ireland, actually. This is the one from Wales. I think, again, my conclusion is, having looked through Soft UK's social media, I think stick with Soft UK, but look out for what we're doing as a bigger community, because though you've got this warm and very generous community here, there's a much bigger rare disease community that you're part of as well, and together I think we can raise awareness and make bigger changes together. So, but thanks again for inviting me here today, because it's been a real pleasure to hear everyone's story.